welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Elena and I am just doing videos on my way of ketogenic living. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about meal planning because that is a question I got a lot when I got back from vacation. So if y'all don't know this part of my life, if you don't follow me on Instagram already, follow me right there. That's there, lady. But I went on vacation for about 3 weeks, and when I got back, I weighed myself and I had gained 20 pounds. I didn't freak out. I kind of expected some weight gain, but I figured it was gonna be about 10 pounds. Mainly, I want to say it was mostly swelling, water weight. So, you know, my plan when I got back, before I even got back, I sat down, I wrote down a plan, and I figured that I was gonna just hop back on. It's a lot easier said than done, but it can definitely be done. So I'm gonna kind of, go over how I did this or how I planned it for myself, because I know that's like a huge question, like I said, that everyone does have. So the first thing that I did was figure out my macros. I do have a video on how I figure out my macros. I will link it to this right now and y'all can go watch that. But it's pretty simple. All you have to do is just go to a keto calculator. Any keto calculator will do. I personally like the one on Ruled Me. I'll put the link as well on the description. And, figure out your macros. That's the first step. There's multiple ways of doing it. You can base it on goal weight. You can base it on current weight. I explain the differences in my video, so if you guys want to go watch that. So that's the first thing that you gotta learn, basically. You're also going to want to download an app. I used to use MyFitnessPal. As keto got more popular, there came out new apps. So I started using Carb Manager. A lot of people suggested Carb Manager, so I figured I'd give it a try, and I actually fell in love with it. It's so simple to use. It calculates net carbs. It takes all the guessing work out of it. So all you have to do is just kind of scan your item, or if it's not scannable, you just search it, or you can even put in the macros based on the label. That's pretty much it. So you're gonna want to download a good app that's going to help you keep track of your food. You're also going to want to invest in a food scale. Food scale, to me, it's very important. It's crucial. It's what lets you know how much you're going to be eating, how much you're eating actually, and it helps you stay as accurate as possible. So those 3 things are the first things to do: is calculate macros, find a good keto calculator, and use a food scale to measure your food. This is the one that I use. I'm gonna show y'all real quick. This is my favorite food scale. I carry it everywhere I go. It's in my purse. It goes with me everywhere. I travel with it. It goes to the restaurant with me. It's so simple to use, and then it's obviously compact, so you can, my dog is interested in it, so you can put it away, but it's pretty neat. And it weighs up to 11 pounds. And the different units are grams, pounds, obviously, milliliters, fluid ounces, grams, back to pounds. So this one is from Joseph. I'll also put a link of this at the bottom in case you guys want to take a look at them. So I love this one. Second thing you're going to want to do is write down your idea of your perfect meal plan. So what you think is what you're going to be eating. So we all kind of have an idea of what keto is. You know that you're supposed to stay under 20 carbs. You're supposed to have a lot of fat. You're supposed to have a moderate amount of protein. So with that in mind, you're going to want to sit down and write your idea of a keto meal plan. So for example, when I sat down, I had my macros already. I think it was about 1560 calories. My protein is 75, my fat is 132, and my carbs are obviously 20 or less. So I started with that as, my allowance, as I guess I would put it, an allowance. And whenever you start writing your meal plan, so you're thinking, oh, I want 2 scrambled eggs in the morning, and I want to scramble it with ham or with vegetables, whatever it is for your breakfast, and you write that down as your breakfast. And then for lunch, you do the same thing. You want chicken, so you're gonna be like, oh, well, I want a chicken breast, and you put chicken breast with bacon, cheese, spinach, whatever it is. You write that down for your lunch. Then you do the same thing for dinner. When you start off with keto, I always recommend to start off with a 16-8 intermittent fasting. It just kind of helps you stay structured. It helps you ease your way into ketosis and not have those cravings kind of gain control over you, because you already have a schedule, so you're not going to allow those cravings to interfere with your plan. So I always recommend to start off with that. You're going to be fasting for 16 hours and you're going to be eating during an 8-hour period, which would be, for example, I'm doing 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the evening, and after that, I don't eat until the following morning at 10 o'clock. In between those times, I drink water, coffee, tea. Sometimes if it's like an emergency, I will do a sugar-free Jello. And the only reason I say emergency is because sugar-free Jello is sweetened with not the best ingredients. So I tend to stay away from that unless, you know, like I said, the craving is too extreme for something sweet or something like that. Other than that, I don't mind sweetening my coffee with erythritol or stevia. I will even put a splash of like an almond coconut creamer. I'm not gonna say a splash. I actually weigh it out because I don't like to go over 50 calories total throughout the day of extra stuff. So for example, if I'm gonna have 5 coffees the whole day, I would have 10 milliliters of creamer per cup of coffee. If I'm gonna have 2 cups of coffee, I would have 25 milliliters of creamer per coffee. So I tend to break it up that way. I just feel like it's not going to break my fast if I do it that way. And I actually get to enjoy a cup of coffee with some creamer in the morning because I can't do black coffee. As much as I love coffee, I can't do black coffee. So those are like my little basic rules that I have for myself. Everybody's different. You don't have to, do it that way. You're more than welcome to experiment with your own type of keto. Keto's not like a perfect plan, I guess, because every plan is different for everyone. So feel free to experiment what works for you, what you feel comfortable with. So we're going to go on to the next step. After you've written down your ideal meal plan, you are going to plug it in to your app, the app that I told you to download. So you're going to start off with like today, basically just a day that you have on your app. So you'll start plugging in your coffee, your creamer, whatever you're putting into that, and then your 2 eggs, your vegetables. And this is where it starts to get interesting, because a lot of people don't think that it matters how many vegetables you use or how many ounces of chicken, or they don't think about that part. So whenever you're creating a meal plan for yourself and you're saying, oh, I'm gonna have 2 eggs and I'm gonna add a little bit of like a quarter of a tomato and I don't know, half of an avocado. Well, yeah, but every tomato is a different size. Every avocado is a different size. So you want to make sure you weigh your foods so that way you're not eating excessively. That's where your scale comes in handy. So that's why I swear by my scale. So make sure that you have one so you know how much you're eating. So after you're plugging in all of those things, you're gonna probably come to find out that you're thinking that you're eating, or that you're gonna eat more than what you should be eating. You're gonna realize that what you think you should eat comes to be a lot more. Maybe it's gonna come out to be less, but for the most part, I always find that I tend to write down more than what I need to eat for the day. So that's when we start to modify and change some things. So a lot of the times people don't don't take into consideration how much oil they use or butter they use in their food. So that I weigh out as well, or I use a measuring spoon to put into my pan. So if I'm gonna do a scrambled egg in the morning, I may do half a tablespoon of avocado oil or a whole tablespoon of avocado oil. So that's when you start kind of messing around within the app. Like while you're on the app, and I'm going to try to show y'all a little screen of how I do it. While you're in the app, you're going to start modifying. So if you see that you are over on your fats, you're going to have to take away some of the fat. So you're going to have to go in there and figure out what fat you can take away to balance that out. Same thing goes for protein, same thing goes for carbs, same thing goes for calories. You got to stay within your limits. So that way you don't get yourself into hot water. Another thing that I didn't mention was in your app, you're going to want to make sure that you set those macros, because a lot of the apps come with like a prefixed or like a guide of macros. So you put in your information and it calculates the macros for you. But I've found that it's not very accurate. So I like to go by the macros that I find on Ruled Me, or Diet Doctors, another website where you can find those that information for yourself. So I tend to stick to that information, and then I plug it into my app and I set it so that way whenever I'm putting in my food, I know exactly what I'm gonna eat. Once you've balanced out your food and you know exactly what you're gonna eat for that one day, you're gonna want to write it down. Get yourself a journal that's specific for your meal plans. So that way, whenever you do fall off the wagon, or let's say you plan a cheat meal or a cheat day, you can always just have that as a reference to hop back on. And it's just going to be so much easier, and it's going to take all the guesswork out. So keep a journal specifically for that and name it like meal plan 1 will be 1 day, meal plan 2 will be 2 days. You can have multiple days, and it'll come to a point where you can be able to mix and match dinners. Like if you don't want tuna today and on meal plan 1 there's tuna, then you can switch out tuna lunch for like a chicken lunch, or I don't know, something else. So it'll get easier as you start storing these meal plans in your journal. I always keep them, by categories of calories. So if I'm doing right now 1,500 calories, I keep it in that range. If in 2 months I drop it down to 1,300 calories, I would create a new category for a 1,300 calorie meal plan, and so forth. So because I know like in the beginning you're gonna be eating a lot more calories than what you do as you get closer to your goal weight. So always keep that in mind. The closer you get to your goal, the harder it is to to lose that weight. So you're going to want to you're going to want to redo your macros as you approach your goal weight. So in the beginning, if you have 100 pounds to lose, you're gonna set your first goal at like 50 pounds. And as you approach those 50 pounds, let's say you're 15 pounds away or 10 pounds away, and those are the most stubborn to lose, you're gonna recalculate your macros, and then you're gonna rework your meal plan. So you might, plug out a little bit here or there, tweak it, and then rewrite it down. I know it seems like a lot of work, but it's completely worth it. It'll help you achieve your goals a lot faster, and it will help you stay disciplined. And that's one thing that I've learned. I am the most unorganized, undisciplined person. I don't like to plan. I'm just not that type of person. I'm very sloppy when it comes to that. But, this method has allowed me to be more structured, not only in this, but in a lot of other areas in my life. So it helps, surprisingly, it helps a lot with other things too. So it's surprising how that little bit can help with so many other things. So keep your journal, like I said, and write those down. I promise it's going to get easier. You guys can drop down comments, if you have any questions regarding meal plans or anything like that. I'm going to try to do a little video for y'all, kind of like my messy process of how I create my meal plan, and hopefully it helps you see what it takes kind of behind the scenes. It's a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a lot of writing down and then scratching out and then working on the app, trying to figure out the perfect macros for the day until you have your final day. But it's well worth it, because once you figure one out, you'll have it forever written down and you won't have to worry about it ever again. So I hope that helped you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, subscribe, hit that little bell, and don't forget to comment if you like this, or if not, if there's anything else that I can do to better help you guys. I am more than happy to hear those suggestions as well. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye. So the first thing I like to do is ask my family what they want to eat for the week. My family, for the most part, eats what I eat, so I always, tend to ask them to pick a couple of choices, and I add my own as well. So in this case, my daughter suggested egg roll in a bowl. I wanted creamy chicken and cauli rice, and my husband said lettuce tacos. For dinner, they suggested a mashed cauliflower and steak, tuna salad, egg chalupa. So if you don't know what egg chalupa is, it's amazing. It's very simple. It's just fried cheese with one egg, and I just kind of like cover it and let it steam. It's all over Instagram. All you have to do is just hashtag egg chalupa, and you'll probably come across Noelle's page. I love her, and she's the one that kind of made the egg chalupa happen. Anyway, so there's our stuff written down, and I personally always include my berry smoothie at night. I always drink it no matter what. It goes with my food. It is not a meal replacement shake. It is simply an addition, or I guess I take it as a dessert even, but I always include it with my dinner. So that is always going to be plugged into my carb manager. Same thing goes for my breakfast coffee. It's always going to be included. Sometimes I even drink 2 coffees. So it's always going to be included. These 2 things are like permanent in my carb manager. I always plug them in before I plug in anything else. So now that I've got my ideas of, my main meals, which would be my lunch and my dinner, breakfast is pretty simple for me. Sometimes I'm not hungry, so I'll skip it. If I am hungry, I usually go for 1 scrambled egg or something like that can fit into my macros. So that is what I'm going to be eating for this. Now I have to break down each one of these. I know it seems like a lot of work, like I said, but once you have it done, you won't have to think about it ever again. So I usually start off, like, let's say with egg roll in a bowl. I know I'm going to have 1 pound of pork sausage and 1 bag of coleslaw mix, and I'll put maybe about a tablespoon of coconut aminos to give it some taste, some salt and pepper, and that would be literally about it. So once I have all that cooked, I'm gonna plug it in as my whole recipe or as a whole meal, and then I would divide it by 8. I usually get 8 servings out of this, so I would divide it by 8 or by 6, however many servings I want to do out of it, and it will give me my my macros for that, so that whenever I go plug it into my meal for my day, I will just put a portion of that whole complete dish that I created for my family. Same thing goes for the creamy chicken, or if I want to do an individual, serving of chicken. Sometimes I don't have time to like meal prep every single one of the meals, so I kind of have to, go, I guess, with the flow. In the middle of the week when I'm at work, I will go across the street, get some rotisserie chicken, pull out about 3 ounces of chicken, and I will get a little container and mix 1 ounce of cream cheese, a tablespoon of butter, and I will put some chipotle powder in it, a little bit of salt, and mix it all up, heat it up in the microwave for a couple of seconds, and I will pour it over my chicken and steam my cauli rice in the microwave as well. I usually do about 85 grams or 100 grams of cauli rice. You guys can play around with the numbers, see what better benefits your macros. So That's a little cheat kind of what I do when I don't have time, but you can always prepare it the same way as you did the egg roll in a bowl. You know, just make a big batch and then just break it up into the servings. The lettuce tacos, same thing goes for lettuce tacos. You're gonna cook, you know, a pound, let's say, of ground beef, split it up into 6 servings or 8 servings, however many servings you want. And then, you know, weigh out your lettuce, because yes, lettuce does have carbs in it, believe it or not. So weigh out your lettuce. I count every carb, including vegetable carbs. I know some people don't count those. It's completely up to you if you want to count them or not. I do. So I weigh out my lettuce. I weigh in my cooked ground beef, and I also weigh my sour cream, whatever toppings I'm gonna put on my lettuce tacos, the cheese, all that stuff. I plug it in, and at the end of that day, if I need to, you know, remember that all of this you're doing before you eat it, not after, before you eat it. So that way you can modify anything that you have to modify before it goes into your body. And that way you don't overeat. So make sure that you are plugging in, let's say, 1 ounce of cheese or whatever it is that you're eating with your lettuce tacos. And, you know, the same thing goes for dinners. You're going to do mashed cauliflower. So you would steam your cauliflower, mash it up. I always weigh my cauliflower before I steam, before I do anything, just raw. Weigh your raw cauliflower. There is a setting for that, so you can always weigh that. Then you can steam it, and I usually put in about half a tablespoon of butter into my serving of cauliflower. And you could do cream cheese or sour cream, whatever you like, into your mashed cauliflower. And your steak, you're probably going to want to add a little bit of butter of that into that to add some fat as well. Tuna salad, I stick to very basic. I like the tuna packets that are the tuna sensation ones. They're flavored. I love the hot buffalo one. It's one of my favorites, or the lemon pepper. All you have to do is just add a little bit of mayo to this. If you want to add some vegetables, if you have enough allowance, you are more than welcome to do that. You can pair it with a little bit of cucumber if you like that little bit of crunch with your tuna salad, or you could do it with some keto bread. I will also add a link to that if you guys have not watched my video on how to make the keto bread, how I make it. And you can eat it that way if if it fits your macros. Again, the egg chalupa, that one you could pretty much do it single serving, because you can weigh out your cheese. You know you're gonna have 1 egg. I like to add pepperoni to mine, so I weigh out my pepperoni as well. And that's pretty much it. After you've figured out those macros and you know how much it has per serving, you'll be able to save it into your carb manager, and you'll be able to plug it in a lot quicker, so that way you don't have to be entering them manually one by one. It'll just be so much simpler once you have your recipe written down, and it's like your go-to recipe, and you don't have to worry about how much does something weigh or anything, because you know it's going to be exact every single time that you cook your food. As long as you weigh it while you're cooking, you won't have to ever break down those macros again. So that's pretty much it for this. So then after this, what I do, I plug it into my carb manager, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like on my carb manager. I've already put in my coffee, my creamers, which is more important to me than anything else. I put in 1 egg and like the ingredients that I made it with. And then I go down to, actually my collagen should be over here with my smoothie. This is for today. So I'm already done with lunch. I'm about to, tonight I'm going to be having for dinner tuna with mayo and my smoothie, which are the ingredients here for my smoothie. So when you plug in my smoothie, it'll be like, it'll line up your ingredients. And that's really it. It'll give you your total macros there, and you don't have to worry about anything. So pretty simple. So this is my, I guess, pre-final rough draft, or yeah, you could say final rough draft, before it goes permanently into my journal. I have it written down so that way I know what each fat and protein, net carb and calorie is in each meal, each ingredient. So this would be like like my plan 2. This is my plan 1, and I would be alternating these two You know, if I want to eat this for breakfast today and I want to eat this for lunch, this for dinner, I can mix and match these since the calories are very similar. The macros are very similar in each meal category. So that is the goal here, to kind of be able to mix and match later on, and you'll have like you know, more meal plans as you go. Just keep in mind, every meal plan is for one day, and you know, you'll be collecting these as you go. You'll be able to switch out. If you get bored of one thing, you can switch it out for something else. So this is kind of how I do it, and I just want to show you guys, since I know I have a lot of questions on these things, and this is what helps me stay back on track. I've been back. I got back on Wednesday. Today it's Sunday, and I've lost 11 pounds of the 20 that I gained. So I can say that this works for sure. It works to get you back into ketosis, and it works to kind of make it easier for you and not think about food all the time, as well as not have to worry about cravings or anything like that, because you're going to be so committed to it, and you know, trying to make this meal plan work for you, that you're not going to have time to think about the cravings or anything like that. As always, make sure you take electrolytes so it can help you ease into ketosis without going through keto flu. My favorite is the K-Nutri, and I'll show y'all a picture right down in the corner so y'all know what it looks like. I do have a coupon for that. If you want to use it, I'll put it in the description below. And make sure that you're getting lots and lots of water. You should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water, and get your macros in, guys. That's all that there is to it. So if you have any questions, again, drop those down below into the comments.